Hey everybody, Cole here with Classic Mini DIY, and on today's episode we are jumping back onto the 1100 stroker build, and we're going to be assembling an engine today. So you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned for that. All right, as I said, we are getting back to the 1100 build today. And as you can see, maybe you might notice, maybe you won't, there have been a lot of little changes on the car since we last saw it. A lot of kind of fixing, modernizing, and just tweaking of things to make sure that they're running correctly, but holds true to the original vision of this early Mark I car. So before we get into the engine build, which is what I want to focus on today, we'll get more into the finished product when we put the engine back in the car and we kind of button everything back up, because there are some really nice, period correct, very cool upgrades that we're going to be doing to the car. But today, I'd really like to get into assembling the short block. And this engine is a very unique engine. If you didn't see it in the first episode, this engine is an 1100 block. Now, that's actually just a 998 block, but the pistons are slightly different, they're shorter, and the stroke of the crankshaft is longer, which means that you are getting a higher displacement at the same cylinder size. It's a very common way to increase the power, or really specifically the torque of an engine, without having to remanufacture the block or go up to a larger cylinder size. All right, so the last time you saw this engine, it probably looked a little bit different. It was much dirtier and, well, it wasn't ready for assembly. Since then, I worked with a local machine shop, Gibbons Motorsport, here in Charlotte, well, a little bit outside of Charlotte, and they were able to bore this out to plus 80. Now what that means is that we are 80 thou larger than the original pistons. This is the original. You can see a little loose in there now. And these are our new pistons, which are now flat top, and those fit in there beautifully. We simply just need to get the piston rings on, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to that stage. Now, with engines and with engine building, everyone has an opinion about how they do these things, and I'm no different. I have my own ways of building these. I have my own ways of really making them pop and look really nice. And one of those you can see is none of the core plugs or the water gallery plugs are in the engine right now. And that's because I like to paint the engine block separately so these pop with that nice brass color. It makes it look really classy, and just it's those little details that make this pop. We've also got all of the oil gallery holes open. Just before we button all this up and before we start assembling it, I usually run, even though the machine shop cleans this really well, I like to blast some air and some cleaner through these holes and through these galleries, because stuff gets built up in there and you don't want that in your crankshaft bearings or anywhere else. So first things first, before this goes on the engine stand, I want to put these core plugs in. Now, these are the core plugs that we're going to be using. They are the early style. You can see they bulge outwards, but you can kind of get a good look at what the engine's going to look like once all of them are in. Obviously, that's just placed in place. But I mean, look at that. It just looks right. So I'm going to pop these back out. One of the things that I do on my core plugs that's a little bit different from other people is I like to add just a little bit of sealant around the edge here. Some people will lose their minds when I tell them that, and they're going to be like, oh my God, if your cores freeze, it's not going to bump out, it's not going to bulge, it's not going to pop, which is what these are for. And let me assure you that sealant is not going to prevent ice from solidifying and pushing those core plugs out. So let's take my water pump that I use for painting off the end here. These core plugs are a little harder to get in. Partly because, well, they're concave or convex. I can't remember which one bulges out. But because they're that way, getting these in without damaging them can be a little bit difficult. The last time I tried this, it did mar them up a little bit, but I think this time I am going to use probably a little bit of sealant around the edge, like I said, and then I'm going to try and hammer this in a little bit with a rubber mallet, and then drive it in the rest of the way with a larger socket that's been covered with a rag. We'll see if that works. So now we've got those core plugs in. The next thing that we need to do, like I mentioned, is I'm going to blow out my oil galleries. This right here has an oil gallery plug. They are press fit in. There's another one on the opposite end, and this is going to give you access to clean these out. This goes all the way through the engine, and then there's a few different channels that it runs into your rocker assembly, your output for your oil filter, and your oil pressure relief valve, all sorts of different things. And then of course your oil pump goes right here. So the way that I'm going to do this is get some compressed air. I've already pushed a ton of brake fluid through that system, so shouldn't need any more solvent, and we just need to blow this out, make sure that there's no lingering debris. Now you can also see I just lightly pressed in this oil gallery plug here, and I'm going to go ahead and take a small punch, and we're going to drive that the rest of the way in. We don't have to blast this in here, but we just want to make sure that it seats nicely. With that in place, I'm going to go ahead and take this little, all right, and we're driving that in basically until it fully seats. And you'll hear the sound change, and that brass is going to wedge itself into that space because it is a tapered hole ever so slightly. And then we're going to take another one and install it on the opposite end right here. There we go. So both of those are driven in, and those holes are stepped, so you can't like drive it all the way through the engine or anything, but it's so worth replacing these really just to get them out so that you can clean that space inside. So now that we've done all of the things that we need to do with the engine off of the engine stand, next up, we're going to go ahead and install the engine stand. All right, since that last scene, we actually ended up having to take the block back to the machine shop to get a few little other bits and pieces polished up and sorted out. But that has been done. So what we have now are our cam bearings installed, our crank is installed, and I've also checked the end float on the crank, the movement this way, and we're looking really good there. If you're looking for details on how to do that, video should be popping up in the corner. But next up, we get to start installing all of the fun stuff. So first up, I think that I'm going to go ahead and install the cam. Having that in now is going to make things a little bit easier. Once that's installed, then we can jump into installing all 4 of our pistons in the beautiful honed out block. So to get the camshaft in, what we're going to be doing is, the camshaft we're going to be using for this job is the Swiftune SW5. I reached out to Swiftune to talk to them about this build and what I'm going to be planning with it, and they suggested that this camshaft would be the best one for the 1100 with the higher compression and the target of what we're doing on this engine. But before we put the cam in, we're going to go ahead and get some nice assembly lube. This is lube specifically for a camshaft. It's very thick, and the idea is that this sits on the cam in the bearings, but also we're going to put it on the cam lobes before we put the lifters in. And all we do is slide our camshaft in, taking care not to bonk any of these bearings because we don't want to add any ridges or high spots. Just go ahead and work that in there. Alrighty, now that cam is just a little hand tight, but that should be all right. And If you put your cam in and perhaps you can't get it in, or if you're pushing this in and it's really, really tight, you can't actually spin it by hand, you need to take it out and you need to bring this back to the machine shop. There are other tools that you can do this at home, like this, which is a bearing scraper. My recommendation though is if you do need to do this on your engine, go ahead and bring it back to the machine shop. They'll know what to do. Essentially just bring the cam and the block with the bearings in it, and they'll sort it out. Now, next up is our oil pump. I got a brand new oil pump from Mini Spares. This is an AP genuine oil pump. There are modifications you can do to these oil pumps in order to really maximize the amount of pressure. It's something I definitely recommend doing if you're building a turbo engine or something like that. This engine, this is a solid, genuine pump. We're gonna take this and go ahead and just bolt it in place. Now let's jump to the side where the oil pump goes, and I just wanna talk about this for a minute. All right, so now that I have suffered a considerable amount in the last 24 hours, it is time to actually do what I just said I was gonna do. So unfortunately, when I was putting in this oil pump, the bolt that I was using decided this would be the perfect time for it to break. So you can see, bolt broke right at the threads, and it only left about 3 mil sticking out of the block. Thankfully, I was able to weld on a nut after I probably went through 10 or 15 nuts trying to get this to take. Finally rage quit at the end of the night, left it overnight, let it cool down, really temper overnight, and thank the gods I was able to get this out. So, moral of the story is no matter how good the bolts look that you have for your oil pump or smaller bolts like this, just don't reuse them. It's not worth it. So we're gonna put some grade 8 zinc plated bolts on here. Hopefully these ones will not snap as we drive them in. So now we got our oil pump installed. Let's flip this. We're gonna make sure, you can see the orientation right now actually could allow the camshaft to fall out that way. So we're gonna wanna take extra care here, but we're gonna go ahead and rotate this back over. And I think at this point, we can go ahead and start putting the pistons in.
All right, so normally I would be giving you guys a little bit of instruction and this video wouldn't feel quite as disjointed. Unfortunately, I had a friend over and I wasn't quite paying attention to when I was starting and stopping the recording. So we've been installing the pistons here. I installed pistons 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, the last set of bearings was a little bit bad, so I got that new set of bearings on the way. And we'll wrap that up later in this episode, but we got through 1 through 3. Things are looking really good. Now for this next stage of assembly, I am going through and shimming these gears to make sure that they are the exact same height. And I do want to apologize for the autofocus craziness. I just got a new camera, so I'm learning how that works. But then we install this timing backplate. You can see the 2 new countersunk screws so that we can accommodate the dual timing chain. And then of course we're going to install the cam retaining ring and that nice little pattern there. And then moving on to the actual cam gears themselves. This part can be a little bit fiddly. You got to move things, line it up, move things, line it up. And you can see I'm really struggling with this cam keyway, but ultimately the gears do go on and we get them where they need to go. After that, we can move on to actually setting the timing for this engine. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that you never want to force this in place. It should be able to go on relatively easy. If you have to force it, probably want to step back and see why. Now you can see me going ahead and installing these bolts here. Unfortunately, the cover is not back from the powder coater yet, so I wasn't quite able to get that cover installed for this video. Also, quick shameless plug here. You can see me referring to my own website, classicminidiy.com, where I have torque specs as well as tons of other technical information available. You can search your torque spec and pull it up pretty much instantly. So very, very helpful. If you need to do this or you're working on an engine, a car, definitely check out classicminidiy.com. we're going to be going ahead and setting up our primary gear end float. This is really vital, and these settings are also available on classicminidiy.com, so check those out. But essentially what we're doing is setting the amount of float, the movement in and out on this primary gear. If you'd like to see an in-depth step-by-step guide on this, there should be a video popping up in the corner. I have done a DIY on this on the past for my turbo engine. All right, so the next thing that we're doing is setting the timing, or rather the degree of advance for our SW5 cam. Now, this comes with a cam spec. It's between 106 and 108 degrees before top dead center, or degree of advance. And so what we're doing here is setting up our two dial gauges, one to set top dead center at the top of our #1 piston, and then we're going to get a setting for our actual lifter on the intake valve. Now you'll see me here taking a few different measurements, and I have also done a video on this in the past, so I'll link that in the top right corner. But what I'm doing here is slightly adjusting the cam vernier gear to adjust for the amount of advance I have. So the first reading was 105. I slightly advanced it, went a little too far and ended up at 108.5. So I had to do one more minor adjustment and got it back down to 107.5, which is right within the spec. So we're gonna leave it right there, keep it nice and happy. And from there, what that does is it allows us to pull all of the additional power, torque, and behavior out of the camshaft, because it's designed specifically to have that level of advance. So it's vital you do this if you are replacing your camshaft in your Classic Mini.
All right, everybody, so that is about as far as we can get on the 1100 build today. We went ahead and put all of the head studs in, water pumps on, timing system is all timed and ready to go. This is sitting at 107.5 degrees before top dead center, which is right within the spec of the SW5 cam that we put inside this engine. Pistons are in, crankshaft is in, we're making some really good progress. I was thinking that I was going to put the gearbox on for you guys today, but I decided to wait on that until I get the head on. Just that way we can get the whole top end built out. Once we're good and comfortable with that, we can move on to putting the gearbox on. But there isn't that much left to do. And pretty soon we're going to be hearing this beautiful engine start running, and we're going to get Jerry back on the road. So if you guys have any questions about what I covered in today's episode, feel free to post that in the comment section below. Always happy to help out where I can. And yeah, that's about it. I appreciate you guys joining today. And until the next one, you guys know the drill. Enjoy those minis and motor on. See you guys.